Hi guys, Jason Smith here, welcome to the AskGolfNut channel. Today we're doing a video comparison between Ping i525 and the P790 from Taylormade. Now, these are in the player's distance category, which means they are for the player who wants a bit of extra distance, or it could be for the mid to high handicapper that actually hits the middle fairly well and wants a bit of extra distance help and a better looking iron. I mean, these aren't bad looking irons whatsoever. Or it could be for the player who has lost distance over time through swing speed and wants to gain that distance back, be it a little bit of tech and a little bit of loft as well. Being players' distance, these are hollow head designs. Hollow head means there's a massive cavity in between the bits that you can't see, and they both have their own individual ways of getting around that. Speed foam when it comes to the P790 from Taylormade, and then when it comes to the Ping i525, it's elastomer inside there. They both do tungsten. You've got 31 grams, I think it is, when it comes to the Taylormade, more centrally placed, and then when you've got into the i525, it's got tungsten as well, but it's much more placed either side in the heel and also the toe. Both got springy faces. The only difference really when it comes to the P790 over the i525 is that speed pocket at the bottom. And that speed pocket at the bottom and the centrally placed tungsten means that even Taylormade is saying on their website that the P790 is protecting against low strikes. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a difference in forgiveness between these two. Remember, when it comes to full forgiveness, guys, I have done full reviews of these where I test forgiveness and performance, but when it comes to these two, at the end of the video, I'll be testing these not only performance but full forgiveness, and be interested to see what the difference in forgiveness between these two are. Right, so that's enough of that. Let's go get the simulator on. Let's go give these a hit, see what the differences in looks and feel are. Let's get a bit of a hole where we have to go over water or something fun like that. Remember, these are very, very similar lofted, or exactly the same when it comes to 7 irons. It's only when you get into the 6.543, I think, with the Taylormade, they go a half a degree or a degree different, but that is about it. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any performance difference if we go and get it on a hole now. So right, let's go get the simulator going and so see what the difference between these two are. Simulator is now on. We are at Blue Bay, hole 17. It's a par 3 at 172 yards. So I have a full review of the P790 that I've got in my hands here on my channel. If you want to go have a look at that one, go click at that little card up the top there. Well, okay, do it after you've watched this, but yeah, full one in there. I do full forgiveness testing, etc. But very, very quickly, in this head, yes, you have got 31 grams of tungsten. You have got that hollow head design. You have got that super springy face, and you have got that speed pocket, which will be interesting to test out. Right, so when it comes to the looks of this thing, now it is a player's distance category, which means it's not massive. You've got a medium-ish top line. You've got a, well, medium to thin sole. Blade lengths aren't too big. Again, player's distance means you don't want to be looking at a battering ram down by the golf ball. And talking by down by the golf ball, it's a relatively sleek look with not much offset. It's got some offset, but then if you want to see smaller offset, you do have P770, then the P7MCs, which is my favorite when it comes to physical feel. Right, let's go give this a hit and see how it feels. Fairly solid feeling. Now I'm going to be trying to limit the speed if I can. Again, this is player's distance, so it's going to be looking for people that's going to need a little bit of help getting the golf ball out there. So, little baby fade. But again, face was slightly open. Feel was louder. Yes, see, the player's distance category, I mean, this has got speed foam in there, but it is by no stretch of the imagination quiet at all. It is a confidence-inspiring pop, I will say that, definitely. And I would want to be looking at this, if I was going to be selecting, say, a P790 as a choice of iron, I'd want it in the long clubs, the 5 irons and stuff like that. I wouldn't necessarily want it in the lower irons, and you could possibly blend with the P770. The P770 is a much nicer sounding iron against the P790 itself, but it's going well. It's 35 yards in the air, 48 degrees descent angle at 171. Remember, that's 89 miles an hour. That's not full out whatsoever, but it's still doing very well. That's not plumb on at all. You'll be able to see that on the strike, but doing really well, look. Which way's the green going to go? Oh, come on, come back to the hole. You can see strike was well off there. 10 mil hill, 5 mil low. Face was one shut. That's the reason why it's gone left. But it's gone 173. and 35 yards in the air, again 48 degrees descent angle. That's a carbon copy of what the other flight was, but the strike wasn't there. It was 10 mil heel, 5 mil low. Now, the interesting thing would be the low point, the 5 mil low. How much forgiving or more forgiving will it be over the i525 when it comes to low strikes against how will that affect lateral misses? But it is loud. Yeah, going from a forged, bodied everything to these, you do hear the noise. Favouring the left side there fractionally. Calm down the speed, Jay, a bit. If not, you're going to go out the back of the green. But there we go. Come on, green. Back to the hole. It's a pleasant feeling. It's definitely something that I'd want to be using in the longer irons. Yeah, 177, 89 miles an hour, 5 mil toe, 1 mil high, so within reason, very, very close to middle. 37 yards in the end, 48.8 degrees ascent angle. So you can't complain when it comes to the numbers side of that one. Right, so let's go give it one more go and let's flick over to the i525, because if the i525, it's going to be difficult between these two because these already stack up to be very, very closely matched. That's an interesting one. That's low off the face. This will be interesting to see how the low parts work. Now, we lost a little bit of distance, yes we have, but you'll see the low strike on that one. So 89 miles an hour again, path perfect, face slightly open. 2 mil toe, 8 mil low. So we've lost a little bit in peak height from 35 or so average to 33. So we've dropped a few yards in peak height and 48 degrees ascent angle again. So we haven't dropped control at all. And that's protecting from that speed pocket, we'll call it. Now, Taylormade had that speed pocket for a while. So as it's going on, I mean, generally speaking, if companies make something and then it's proved really not to work or make that much difference whatsoever, they'll dump it off fairly quickly. The fact that Taylormade have kept this going for such a long time means it must work. Right, so should we do one more? Let's do one more before we flick over to i525. Again, fractionally low on the face, but good. There we go. Slightly faster. Calm down, Jay. Speed. Get down. I'm trying to get it under 90 miles an hour. Yeah, path and face very, very good. Just slightly low on the face again. Look, 0 mil toe, but 7 mil low. That's gone 36 yards in the air and 48.6 degrees descent angle. So we're talking that speed pocket and the lower, further back CG of this iron protecting against that low strike does help. Now, generally speaking, when it comes to misses, if I'm going to miss an iron, I will thin it slightly, always thin it, never fat it. And so that is protecting quite nicely for me. Right, so let's go flick over to the i525 now. Let's go see how that one does. Let's change the data set so we get a different line and see how they compare. i525 in my hands now, and I must admit, when it comes to the difference in looks between these two, I'd possibly say I prefer the looks of the P790. Why? Because it's just got a slightly smaller difference in height between the sole and the top of the golf club. But I mean, again, that's just absolute personal preference. So just something that I prefer the looks of just. And the P790's got a touch of chrome on it. And I am a chrome fan. I'm always swayed by a little bit of chrome. But again, yeah, it's a very, very similar technology within this. We've got heel and toe weighting when it comes to the tungsten, although Ping are moving it very much so heel and toe rather than the middle when it comes to P790, because they're talking about it absolutely from a forgiveness point of view, where the P790 is coming out from protecting the low strikes point of view. So it'd be interesting to see what the difference is between these two on that one. When it comes to the looks though, if anything, the i525 has got a slightly thicker top line than the P790, but the i525's got a curved top line, so you don't really see it whatsoever. And it's the same thing when it comes to the sole. The sole is slightly thicker than the P790. Blade lengths, I don't think there's much in it whatsoever. And then when you go down by the golf ball, if anything, the i525 has got a slightly less amount of offset. But apart from that, that's basically only difference is that white line-up line down by the ball, which I like when it comes to seeing in a Ping iron. Little leaky. That's a little leaky one. Safe. Oh, hang on. Go on, green. That's got mound then. Go on, racing. Members bounce. Yeah, slightly face open. That was my fault. There you go. Face 3.2 open. That's what happens when you miss it with the face open. Strike was decent. Just as you see, there's the curvature because of it. Now that's quite interesting. Now that was 90 miles an hour rather than 89, so I'm 1 mile an hour faster. But considering that's 3.2 degrees open face, that's already going 175. That will be interesting to see how this performs, these two, because again, very, very similar lofted. Oh, slow down, Jay, slow down. 90 miles an hour again. But that's a consistent carrying further, look at that. And that wasn't middle, you'll be able to see that, that was not middle. 10 mil toe, there you go, 179. Now I am going 1 mile an hour fast and I really want to. I don't want to get carried away with swinging too quick. Again, I've got to do this test after this. I've got to do this test at the high 80s. Again, that's the idea of where this golf club is designed to be used by golfers around that idea. Feeling wise, it's really difficult to pull anything different between these two because they, within reason, they feel identical. No, I can't pick a winner from what I prefer the sound of. I really don't know. I mean, face open on that one again, but I mean, that's me, not the golf club, but it's 90 miles an hour again, so I'm 1 mile an hour, go on, keep going. Close up the pin, members bounce. I'm 1 mile an hour faster with this. But I mean, it's a good strike face just open, but it's consistently longer, even with an open face. And it's only, Matt, there's only 1 mile an hour in it at the moment. And they're the ones that I'm looking at. I mean, that's 38 degrees of 38 yards in the air, sorry, 49 degrees of center angle. So I mean, that's properly functional. These distance irons, these players' distance irons, really know how to get the golf ball up in the air. But I mean, yeah. Again, that's 90.2, that's a mile an hour faster again that I really wanted to, but that's considerably longer. Go on, come back to the hole. It's, I don't know. It is really difficult to pull these two to pieces when it comes to finding out the difference. I mean, that wasn't plumb on. I mean, what's that? That was 9 mil toe, 3 mil low, so 12 mil away from middle, so nearly half an inch away, but that's still going 37 yards in the air. And 48.6 degrees of center angle, that is doing exceptionally well. And again, what was the speed on that? I thought it was 90.2. Yeah, so I'm about a mile an hour faster than I would be, but 179 carry. So it does look as though, speed adjusted, that this thing's going fractionally faster, or further, should we say, just a fraction. Again, they're very, very similarly lofted. So what we're going to do, we'll go give this a hit loads and loads of times. I'm going to go test them individually and hit them all over the face. And we're going to actually see if there's any difference in forgiveness between these two, because again, you've got Taylormade saying distinctly that this one protects against low strikes. It will be interesting to see how it works left and right. And while the i525 is going from MOI when it comes to the tungsten in there, to see if that helps through a left and right toe and heel strikes compared to the P790. Right, let's go give them a hit and see how well they do. So guys, after hitting a load of shots with both the P790 and the i525, I've come up with some interesting differences and also similarities between these two heavyweights within the players' distance category. So let's quickly go into all the ball data, club head data, so you can see that I've tried to keep the testing as fair as I possibly can do, and also let's have a look at the missed strikes, because yes, I have found some trends when it comes to the P790 over the 525, and then depending on how you see these and how you perform yourself, you'll then possibly be able to glean if one of these two irons will work better for you or not. So let's go over to the ball data first. If you go i525 first, on average ball speed 120.4 miles an hour, launching at 20 degrees, spinning at 5259, so 5.3 spin. It's going 37 yards in the air and descending at 48.6 degrees, so 49 degrees of center angle at 174. It's doing absolutely fine. Anything going over 45 degrees into a green will stop on nearly anything, even concrete ones possibly, but even the depth of summer is still going to have a very good chance of stopping. If we compare that straight over to the P790, we've got ball speed of 119.1 rather than 120.4, so 1.3 miles an hour difference, so 1.3 miles an hour lower with a Taylormade. 20.8 degrees of launch rather than 20, so nearly a degree higher launch angle, even though it's slightly less ball speed with the Taylormade. Spinning at 5.3, 5.4, so we're looking at 100 RPM, 110 RPM difference between the two, which is nothing. Going 37 yards in the air identically, and 49.1 degrees, so half a degree difference, and at 171. So we're losing 3 yards. It's three. Let's go have a look at where that 3 yard difference comes from. So i525, clubhead speed 88.9 miles an hour, efficiency 1.35 on average, 3 degrees down, 0.2 across, 0.8 open, so little baby tiny fade dynamics. Loft 26.1 degrees and 3 mil toe, 0 mil low, and we are comparing two golf clubs, so I have got standard deviation on there. I have standard deviation on anything, but standard deviation when you're comparing two golf club is a measure of variance. So you could be 0-0 on one thing, but you could have a 10 on this side, 10 on that side, net, that would be 0. But when you have standard deviation on there, it would show up as a huge difference over the other golf club. You hit 0-0 all the time. So when we're looking at comparison wise, we do need to look at standard deviation and keep an eye on it, so make sure it's fair. If we flick over straight away to the P790, we've got a 8.9 miles an hour, so within reason, exactly the same, because it is exactly the same. 1.34 efficiency rather than 1.35 when it comes to the i525. 3.4 down rather than 3.4 of a degree, and within very, very small amounts when it comes to the club path and face to path delivery. Loft 26.8 degrees to 26.1, so there's 0.7 of a degree. Now, at 3 mil toe, 0 mil low is the strike when it comes to, of the i525, and it's 0 mil against 1 mil. So you could argue the Taylormade would hit on average slightly better than the i525, but it's 2 millimeters. It's so marginal, it's silly. And you have standard deviation on there as well, so you can critique it if you wish. So there is 0.7 of a degree in loft difference between the two, and there's 3 yards in it when it comes to the difference. Now this speed, 88 miles an hour give or take, I would expect 10 yards of loft gap per 4 degrees, so about 2.5 yards per degree. So 0.7 of a degree, or let's call it 1.8 yards ish, and we've got 3. So we're gaining 1.2 yards from the i525. So small, it's ridiculous. Within reason, they're basically identical. Yep. When you look at the graphical representation of it, don't look necessarily at the dispersion rings, because again, that's more me when it comes to dispersion, especially left and right. Front to back is definitely the golf club. When it comes to forgiveness level, a golf club can protect against front to back, long and short. When it comes to left and right, primarily, that's me. So good day, bad day, in between, that's me. You'll start to see some trends when it comes to the trend of one going left, one going right, especially when you're talking about drivers and straight flight technology or draw bias stuff. But in this, it's all me. And so you can see within reason, everything is very, very similar, but it's all on screen for you to look at and critique. Obviously, I'm very transparent and try and put as much information up there for you to see and make your own decisions from. So let's go have a look at the forgiveness level between these two, because this is the interesting one when it comes to the P790 being designed very much so for the person who hits the thin shot, shall we say, rather than anything else. It does make it quite clear on the website that it's protecting against low strikes, lowering center of gravity or effective sweet spot. Right, let's go. i525 first. We have 90 miles an hour, 1.8 from the inside, 0.1 open, so baby to the right. 12 mil heel, 0 mil low, so just heely, ½ inch off the heel, and we're looking at efficiency level. So when we come to do this, the best thing to do is look at efficiency level. That way I don't have to spend ages trying to marry the swing speed to the 0.1 of a degree, so we don't have to then look at distance differences. Efficiency there, or smash factor, is bang for your buck. How much do you get out of the effort you put in? And so where you hit it and stuff like that makes a big difference to efficiency. Smash factor, same thing. And the efficiency is 1.32 from a 12 mil heel on the i525. If you flick over then to a Taylormade P790, I've got one here at 16 mil heel, so arguably worse. Well, not arguably, it is worse by about 4 mil. And club path and is 1.4 open path, it is small. Efficiency is 1.28, so it's less than the 1.32. of the i525, but bearing in mind the face is fractionally more open and it is 4mm worse. Okay, if you were to balance these out, the i525 is fractionally more forgiving off of heel strikes, fractionally. We have a 0.04 difference in efficiency there. That won't be equated to 4mm when it comes to a 4mm worse and a 1 degree open face. That's the i525 is slightly a little bit more forgiving off heel shots, but it's slight. Right, let's go low shots when it comes to the i525 and P790. So i525 first, club path 0.2, face to path 0.8 open, so 0, 0, 12mm low, 3mm heel, so very low on the face. 1.27 efficiency. Flick that over to the P790. We have a 12mm low, 2mm heel, again 12mm low, 3mm heel, within 1mm identical. Efficiency is 1.3. So we have a 0.03 increase in efficiency from the Taylormade. And so yes, that speed pocket, that tungsten, is very much so protecting against low strikes. Is it better than the i525 off of low strikes? Yes. Is the i525 marginally better than the Taylormade P790 off heel strikes? Yes, but it's very marginal. Right, let's go toe. See what the differences are there. So we've got a miss from the i525 here. Face to path is 1.2 open, so within 1 degree. 4mm low, 14 toe. Yeah, and the efficiency is at 1.33. If you flick over to a very similar strike when it comes to the Taylormade P790, 40mm low, 40mm toe, 0mm low against 40mm toe, 4mm low, so it's worse than the i525. The Taylormade's at 1.31. So from a worse strike, the i525 is better off a toe strike. So the interesting thing is I was trying to within reason match the 1.31 that we got from the P790 off a toe hit. And I got one here. So faces and path was within less than a degree. 24mm toe, 2mm high, 26mm gross. So that's 26mm gross away from middle, and efficiency is now at 1.3. As opposed to the Taylormade's 14. Now there is just slightly less than 1 point something degrees of dynamic loft difference, but it's so marginal, there is no way going to be the difference between 12mm gross strike. That i525, it beats the Taylormade P790 hands down when it comes to toe strikes. And so this is my point when it comes to the P790 over the i525. If you look at conclusion between the two, let's just first of all go by the performance of it. Performance is identical, within reason identical. There might be a 1 or 2 yard difference basically between these two golf clubs like for like, so within reason identical. If you look at the looks between these, they are very subjective. I possibly prefer the P790 over 525 because of the chrome and its slightly smaller club head. When it comes to the forgiveness between these two, if you are a striker which hits low on the face, you know your strike pattern is low on the face, then the P790 will win, and it wins quite well over 525. If you are someone who hits laterally as a miss, either heel or especially toe, then the i525 will suit you better. That's the difference between the design of the golf clubs that you don't even see. It's all internal, and until you test it, you'd never even know. When it comes to the feel difference between these two, they're nigh on identical. They've both got speed stuff inside them and elastomer inside them to make them sound better than they would do if they didn't have it, and they both do a very good job of basically becoming equal in that fact. So it's only the differences within the head which you don't see that makes the difference between these two irons, and really when it comes to it, only you guys down the lens who know your strike pattern and know your miss pattern will know which one of these two will work better for you. So hope you liked the video. If you did, go on thumbs up. YouTube likes it, so do I. Next to it down there is a subscribe button. If you can click that, would be great because it's great for the channel. I appreciate if you could do that. Next to it is a bell icon. That's a notification bell, and if you click that one, that will notify you next time I upload another video. So I hope you're well, and we'll see you again soon.